This is the Upwork sales process to increase your conversion rate by 125%, more than double. Okay. Now, this video and this document is specifically for part one of the sales process, which is setting, but there is a part two, which is closing, which is, if not more important, at least equally important than this part one. Okay. Now, if you're watching this video, if you're reading through this training, through this lesson, through this document, that means you've already gone through the previous steps or you've already mastered the other components of Upwork. That means you've already created a perfect Upwork profile, already have an amazing proposal structure, and you already have a system to send out these proposals continuously to new job posts nonstop every day. Okay. Now, if you don't, you might want to check out the other trainings, the other lessons to take the most advantage out of the sales process. But if you have, let's continue. So finally, a client sees one of your proposals to your job posts and responds to it. Okay. You're messaging them in the chat. What now? What happens? Okay. Now, the biggest mistake that we see is that freelancers think, oh, I got the job in the bag. They're going to hire me. They responded to my proposal, and then they don't put enough effort into the conversation, right? You think it's already good. It's already done. You've been hired. But no, the reality is you're wrong. You're very wrong. You're very far from being hired. Okay. Now, the sales process is going to really be the difference here between a 50% conversion rate or a 10% conversion rate or even lower than that, right? So think about it. From 50 to 10, this can be 5 times the clients, which means 5 times the revenue. That's the difference between making 1K a month or 5K a month or 5K a month or 25K a month, right? That's a huge difference. So if you've understood the importance of it, we can move forward. But it's very, very, very important you understand why you need to take this seriously. Okay. Now, the sales process is based on one concept. Okay. The setting is based on one concept. We want to get the client on a call. Okay. That is the utmost objective. That is the most important thing. Okay. We want to get the client on the call and away from just the Upwork chat. Okay. And every single one of your messages to the client, at the end of the message, you should be prompting the person to get on a call with you. Okay. So these are some of these CTAs that you can add to the end of all of your messages when you respond to a question. Why don't we schedule a quick call to go over this in more detail, to make sure we're aligned, to make sure everything's clear. I'd love to get to know more about you and your project over a quick call. Let's schedule something, or any variation of this. Okay. Um, Now, why is this? Why do we have to do this? You might ask me, why can't I just answer their questions, talk to them over the chat, and just hope they hire me? Why not do that, right? I don't want to sound annoying. I don't want to sound like, oh, he keeps asking me for a call. But it's very important you understand why we're doing this, okay? People don't care about you. The client does not care about you as a freelancer or care more about you than any of the other potential freelancers until they know that you actually care about their project, right? Once you have that relationship built. So a face-to-face approach on a call allows you to build that personal relationship. Okay, it humanizes things. They're no longer talking to some random freelancer on Upwork that they don't know. They actually see you, talk to you. Can chat back and forth, can laugh, and build that relationship with you. In a way that I like to frame that works really well is you have to think of yourself and portray this as well to the client that you're a partner, okay, that's trying to help them achieve their goals, solve their problems, whatever it is. You're not just a service provider, freelancer. They don't just pay you, you do this, and then that's it, you go away, because that's not the way to grow. That's not the way to build projects. That's not a way to build a relationship with a client, right? You're never going to scale to 10, 20, 30, 50K, 100K a month if you're just a freelancer, if you're just a service provider, okay? You need to be a partner that's going to help them achieve their objectives, okay? Um, Another reason is on calls, you have that consistent back and forth, right? You don't have to wait for them to respond. You can ask them questions about their project, what they're trying to achieve, what the difficulties and challenges are, why they want to do it this way and not that way. And when you ask these questions, it shows that you actually care about their project and that you actually have the technical capabilities to build a project, right? If you're asking the right questions, they're going to sense that, and they're going to understand that, wow, this person actually knows what they're doing. And it's also going to give you more information so you can actually estimate costs and timelines. The worst thing is for a client to give you a very, very short description and ask you, can you give me a price for it? It's like, I'm missing a few details here, right? So on the call, you can get all these details to estimate the costs and the timelines, okay? And then finally, the last reason is you can fight any objections, concerns, or anything that they're worried about, right? So if they say, "Oh, I don't really know. You don't seem like you can do this," you can fight that head on. You can say, "Yes, I can do this. Here's this case study, that case study." Or if they think, "Oh, I don't know if you can deliver this on time," then you can show them, "Yeah, I think this is going to take this amount of days because I need to do this, this, and this. This is the amount of hours that are going to be done, so I can tell you I'm going to get it finished by your deadline." You can tackle their objections head on the call. Okay. Now, apart from directing the client to the call, so apart from trying to get them on the call as soon as possible, because then on the call we will do the part two, which is the closing, which includes all of this. Okay. Apart from that, there are a few other essential guidelines, tips that we need to follow, right? When we're talking with a client, once we're setting them, when we're discussing over the Upwork chat with them. Okay. The first thing is that speed is king. Okay. If there's one rule that you remember from all of this, make sure it's this. You need to move quick. Okay. You need to reply to any messages immediately, as soon as possible. Why? Because you have the client online, the client's responsive, and they have the buying intent, right? They're looking to buy, they're looking to hire somebody immediately, right? So you need to take advantage of this. Answer their questions, book a call, and if you're available at that exact moment, just ask them, "You want to have a call right now? I can get on right now." If you're online, that's going to be super, super interesting. They're going to see how interested you are, how engaged you are, how quick you are, how much you care about their project. Okay, this is a huge advantage. Secondly, be detailed when responding. Okay, so if a client asks you something, don't just answer them with some short one line answer trying to solve their problem quickly. Actually go through, think about it, and go above and beyond. Tackle their immediate concern, their immediate question, but then answer all of their follow-up questions so that you don't have to go back and forth. Just think of all the details that you can give to them. Just splurge them out. Okay, don't think just about the immediate answer, but think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. You want to give them as much value as possible. This is going to show how professional you are and how technically capable you are. Okay, now the third bit here is throughout the messages, you want to give the client that reassurance that you're the perfect candidate for the job. Okay. So whenever answering a question, try to relate it to your expertise, right? Try to reaffirm your technical ability, that you've worked on similar projects to this, that you're able to do this, that there's similar companies that you've assisted, other solutions that are very similar to what they want, and that you can implement it as well. So, for example, if a client asks, okay, how are you going to handle the amount of data we have for this database? What database you're going to use, or how are you going to handle this amount of data? Then you can say, oh, I'm going to provide solution XYZ. I'm going to use this database because for the project that I worked on for, I don't know, Microsoft, I helped the Microsoft team do this integration with this database because they had a ton of data, and this made the load speeds go down from 5 seconds to 1 second, and it was a great solution for when we have a lot of data. So you're not only responding to them on how you can solve their problem, but you're also making reference to a product that you've worked in the past. Okay, so you want to give them that proof, okay, that social proof, that you're technically capable of doing this with real results. Okay, and if you can give them numbers like the load speeds, the amount of users, the costs, the amount of revenue generated for the company. Okay, this is another example here with website load speeds. Okay, so this is a great example as well for you to go through, very similar. Um, that's going to be very powerful. Okay, that's what's going to push them up to the top, be really convinced that you're the right person to do this. Okay, now if you understood these core principles, really it's 1, 2, 3, and then 4, which is getting people on calls. If you understood these core principles and you put them in your sales process, there's going to be a huge boost in conversion rate already just from this simple 10-minute video that you can implement immediately. Okay, but this is just one piece of the puzzle, right? This is part one, setting. Okay, now we even have a juicier or more important lesson coming up that I said, which is part two, closing. So make sure you check it out and really incredibly boost your sales process by 125%.